Okay guys, so this is going to be our next little lesson over solving inequalities. And we're going to graph some linear inequalities also in this lesson. So the directions say, solve the following inequalities, graph the solution curve, and transfer your answer to interval notation. Okay, so we've already kind of dealt with interval notation, but this will be a good review. Now, the strategy is whenever we're dealing with inequalities, you typically want to get your variable always on the left side, okay? So keep that in mind. If you divide by a negative, you have to flip the gator mouth, okay? So, first example problem, we're gonna start by combining some like terms. So negative 3 minus 6 is a negative 9. And I'm gonna move this x to the left side like I said to do earlier. So negative 3x is greater than negative 9. Now, when I divide through by a negative, I have to flip the gator mouth. So I get x is less than 3. Now, if I'm going to graph the solution curve, it's going to be an open circle, and I'm going to shade everything to the left because the gator mouth tells me what direction I'm going to shade. Now, if I'm going to write this in interval notation, it's going to be negative infinity to 3, and these are going to be open parentheses because it's not equal to, okay? And if you were to look at a graph, they would write that open parentheses like that, okay? It just depends on what your teacher wants and what notation, so we're going to do both. Okay, next one, we're going to combine our like terms first. So we get negative 1 is less than 2n, 4 minus 5 is a negative 1. So we're going to move all our variables to this side, to the left side, and I'm going to move all my numbers to the other side, so I get a 0. So I get n is greater than or equal to 0, because 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. Okay, anytime I divide by a negative number, I have to flip the gator mouth. So, in interval notation, it looks like this. It's equal to with a closed bracket because of the equal to sign right there. So, I draw a solid dot, and if I want to draw it like that, I put a little closed bracket, and I shade to the right. Okay, next one. We're going to combine our like terms. 2n plus 3n is 5n. I'm going to move all my variables to the other side. Okay. Just so we know what direction it's going to point. And I'm going to divide through by a negative 5. When I divide through by a negative 5, I get 0. So n is greater than or equal to 0. Don't forget to flip your gator mouth. Okay. So interval notation, once again, 0 to infinity. Remember, it can never equal to infinity because infinity is not an actual number. It's a behavior. Okay, so it looks like that. Next question, we're going to distribute now. Okay, so we're going to distribute that negative sign out. So 7 is less than negative k plus 3 plus 2. 3 plus 2 gives you a 5. And we're going to move all our variables and numbers to the other side. So k is less than negative 2. Okay, and I don't have to change the gator mouth because I'm not dividing through by a negative. So if it's in interval notation, it's going to be negative infinity to negative 2. And we're going to put an open circle in negative 2. Parentheses like that. And we're going to shade to the left. Okay, next one. We're going to distribute this negative 5 out. So negative 5 plus 20a is greater than negative 5. We're going to add the 5 to the other side. So we get 20a is greater than 0. And we get a is going to be greater than 0 because 0 divided by 20 is 0. If we're going to write this in interval notation, 0 to infinity. There's no equal to sign, so open parentheses, and we just put 0 like that. And we're going to shade to the right. Okay, this one, let's go ahead and distribute this negative 4 out. So a minus 15 is greater than 24 minus 12a. We're going to move all our variables to the left side. So we'll move the 12a to this side. So I get 13a is greater than, move the 15 over here. 15 plus 24 is 39. divide both sides by 13, so you get a is greater than 3. So this is going to be 3 to infinity, like that. And we're going to shade to the right, and we'll put a little parentheses right there so you know. Next one. So we're going to distribute this 5 out first. So 26 plus m is greater than or equal to negative 30 plus 15m. So we're going to get all our variables on one side. So move this over, we get negative 14m is greater than or equal to negative 30 minus 26 is a negative 56. And when I divide through by negative, so we're going to divide through by negative 14, I flip the gator mouth and we get 4. Negative 56 divided by negative 14 is 4. So interval notation looks like this. And, ooh, no, it's equal to, sorry, it's equal to. Okay, so we're going to put a solid dot, and we're going to shade to the left, and close bracket like that. So whenever it says solution curve, it just wants a number line. It doesn't want anything fancy. Okay, on to the back. Okay, this next example problem, we're going to distribute and combine our like terms first. So on this side, x plus 6x is 7x. Plus 2 is greater than, so we get 3x minus 12 minus x plus 4. So we get, so we're going to combine our like terms. 3x minus x is 2x. Negative 12 plus 4 is a negative 8. So we're going to get our x terms on the left side. So we get 5x is greater than negative 10. So x is greater than, or is greater than negative 2. Okay, so if we're doing this in interval notation, it's going to be negative 2 to infinity. And we're going to an open circle. We're going to shade that way. And it's going to be a parentheses like that. Okay, next example problem. We're going to distribute first. Okay, so we get 2 minus 8r is less than negative 2r minus 6 minus 4. Now we're going to combine our like terms first. Negative 2r minus 10. Okay, we're going to get all our r terms on the left side. So we're going to add 2r to this side, so negative 6r is less than. We're going to subtract 2 to this side, so we get negative 12. So when I divide by negative, I have to flip the gator mouth. And in interval notation, it looks like that. And open circle, and we're going to shade to the right. It's going to be a parentheses. Okay, next example problem. The last one of these, then we're going to graph. Okay, so we're going to distribute this negative 2 out. Distribute this negative out. So we get negative 2 plus 10x is greater than negative x minus 1 minus 1. Combine our like terms. Okay, so get all your x terms on one side, so we get 11x is greater than negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So we get x is greater than 0. 0 divided by 11 is 0. Okay, so in interval notation, it's going to look like this. And then if we're going to graph the line, open circle 0, shade to the right, and parentheses like that. Okay, so I know I went through this quickly, but you should be okay on solving equations. I'm not going to show every single step out because we're kind of past that point in time, especially in these advanced classes. So if you need to show more steps than I did, be my guest. Okay, so graphing inequalities. So what we're going to do is we're going to graph it just like we did lines. Okay, So I'm going to start the y-intercept at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go down 3 and over 1. Down 3 and over 1. And 1, 2, 3, over 1. So our line's going to look something like that. Now it's equal to, so it's going to be a solid line. Now, since it's greater than, we're going to shade above. Okay. Now you might have been taught, like I was, to pick a test point. So like I would pick 0, 0. Okay, if I plug in a 0, 0 is greater than 4. That's not a true statement, so we're not going to shade the point 0, 0. Okay, and that method works whenever your line does not contain that point. Okay, now let's graph these. Got a few more to do. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to solve for y equals in this case. I don't want to use the opposite of A over B and all those formulas because it doesn't take into account changing the gator mouth whenever you're changing your signs. So we're going to solve for y equals. So I get negative 2y is less than negative 3x plus 10. I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. Now, if you noticed, as soon as I divide by negative 2, I changed my gator mouth. Okay, so we're going to start at our y-intercept, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5, and I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 2, 1, 2, 3 over 2, 1, 2, 3 over 2, 1, 2. Now this is going to be a dashed line because there's no equal to sign. So we'll just try and make a dashed line. Some of you like to draw it and then erase. That's fine with me, I'm not picky. Okay, so the point, you can check using a point, or you can, it's greater than, so we're going to shade above the line. And the point 0, 0 isn't on the line, so if we want to check it, 0 is greater than a negative 5. That's a true statement, so it's going to contain the point 0, 0. Okay, next one. We're going to solve for y equals again. So I get negative y is less than negative x plus 2. I'm going to divide everything through by a negative. Okay, so y is greater than x minus 2. Okay, so whenever I divide by negative, I have to flip the gator mouth. So I'm going to start at negative 2. And I'm going to go up 1 over 1. 1 over 1. So it looks something like that. And it's going to be a dashed line. Okay, and it's greater than, so we're going to shade above the line. That. The line x is greater than or equal to a negative 5. So the line x is equal to a negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's this vertical line. Remember, lines that are x is equal to have undefined slope. And I'm going to pick values that are greater than negative 5. So greater than, we shade to the right like that. Y is less than 3. The line y equals 3 is the horizontal line through 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to have a dashed line. Okay. And we're picking values less than 3, so it's going to be down here. Oops, I'm going to accidentally went above it. Okay, so it's going to be down here, this region. So that has been inequalities, linear inequalities. Remember that you want to get all your variables to the left side, and when I divide by a negative, I flip the getter mouth. Make sure if it's a solid line that has an equal to sign, and if it's a dashed line, there's no equal to sign underneath. And you're going to graph these the same way that you would lines. Okay, so I'm going to start at my y-intercept and I'm going to count my slopes. So if you have any questions over this, feel free to reach out. Thanks, and have a good day.